All right, so here is 1.1.4 notes. We are going to, this is our kind of our intro into level 1. So it says, given a function of x, describe the transformations to f of x. That's what you did in the previous worksheet. So I gave you this, and I gave you that and did the transformations. Okay, so let's talk about the transformations. So A, there's none. H, there's none. But K is 3, so it goes up. Okay, so you already know how to do all of that, I hope. If not, come to our office hours. So now there's this table here. So now we're going to add in the graph. So x and y is your original graph. So 2, 2 and 4, 6. 2, 2 and 4, 6. So that is my original graph. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay. So that is my original graph. You always start with your x and your y. Now, there we go. So now I'm going to make another one. Let's just do blue. So now K affects the y coordinates only, not the x. So the x stays the same. The y is going to add 3. So now for x prime, we call it, and is 2, and then the other x prime is 4. Those don't change. But since K is 3, it moves it up, which means we want to add 3. So 2 plus 3 is 5. 6 plus 3 is 9. So now your x and y prime are your new points. So that is your new transformation. We call it f prime of x, okay? Which we will get into several days from now. But, so now I want to graph 2, 5 and 4, 9. Now, just taking this point and moving up 3, probably 99% of you could have probably figured that out with the graph. You just go up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you're done. But pretty soon, we are going to talk about flipping and stretching and all of those things. Why? It's not like me. Okay. So pretty soon, it's going to be a lot more complicated, and the graphs are going to be a lot more complicated. So you're going to want to use this table. The table will really help you know exactly where every point is. Now for these first couple, the table is just extra work, it seems like, but it's setting the groundwork for the harder problems. Okay, so now let's go back to pink. We have our A, our H, and our K. A, remember, is in front of the F, which there is none. K is at the end, so that means there is none. So now the H. Remember, if it's plus 3, that means H is negative 3, which means it goes left. Hopefully that is ringing a bell in your head. If not, go back and study the AH and K notes. There's a video. Go watch it. Okay, so now 2, 2, 4, 6. So 2, 2, 4, 6. So here is my original graph. So now I'm going to remember that H affects only the X values. Goodness, it does not like my fingers today. There we go. So now I am going to subtract 3 to the X, but the Y this time does not change. So the Y is still 2 and 6, but now here I have to subtract. So this gives me negative 1 and 1. 2 minus 3 and 4 minus 3. So now I'm going to graph those points. So now negative 1, 2 and 1, 6. And your graph should make sense going from the pink to the blue. I went left 3, which looks like I did. So that is what this worksheet is all, or these notes and worksheet is all about. So now let's talk about what happens if we have an A, H, and K. So our A is now negative 1, so that means it flips. There is no H. And our K is negative 2, which means it went down. So both of those affect the Y, not the X. So actually, in this case, the X stays the same. 2, 1, and 4, 6. So this one just changed a point here. But so that is my original. Now, when I'm affecting the X doesn't change. 2, 4. When you are doing A and K, we have to do order of operations. So that means that you need to multiply by negative 1, and then you are going to subtract 2. So if you need to write it out 2 different times, that's fine. So multiply by negative 1, I get negative 1 and negative 6. And then I subtract 2 to both of those, which gives me negative 3 and negative 8. So negative 3, negative 8 are my Y values for this new graph. So 2, negative 3. And then 4, negative 8 is down here. So do you see it flipped? And it moved down 2. So that is how we do Y's or K's and A's with the Y's if you have both of them in your graph. Okay, so now you are going to see this type in your worksheet. What if I just give you a graph? You are going to do it the same exact way, but now you're not given points. So let's stick with the pink as the original. So A, H, and K. So A, there is none. H, remember, it's opposite. So it's a 2, so it moves right. And then negative 4, so it goes down. So your graph should eventually go right and down. So now we have to figure out your original points. Okay, so that is 1, negative 1, 2, 2, and 5, 3. So there is my points. So now I am going to add 2. Then you are going to subtract 4 for the K. So 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 2 is 4. 5 plus 2 is 7. Here we're going to subtract 4, so that means it is going to be negative 5, negative 2, and negative 1. So, whoa. My Chromebook is not liking all this today. Okay, so now I'm going to graph those points. Now those points aren't all going to fit on the graph, so we'll just do our best. Not a big deal. So now 3, negative 5. Oh boy, that's really off. 4, negative 2. And then 7, negative 1. So there is my graph for my new function. Sorry, I didn't do the graph very well on that one. But you see how we can do that. Here is another one. And it's going to be off the graph again because I didn't do that well. All right, so A is 2. So that means it stretches. Actually, let's change this to 1/2. So then it will fit on the graph. So instead of stretches, it is going to shrink. There we go. Whoops. We can just say none. Okay, so now these 3 points are your original. So 1, negative 1, 2, 2, 5, 3. So all you had to do is figure out your points and put them in the chart under the X and the Y. Those are your original graphs. The X prime and Y prime are your new points. So, there we go. So now we have a shrink. So you are going to multiply by 1/2. So when you multiply by 1/2, the X's don't change. So 1, 2, and 5, but the Y's will. So that means negative 1/2, 1, and 1.5, or 1.5, because I'm multiplying 3 times 1/2. So when I graph that, so 1, negative 1/2. So that means it's down here. 2, I don't remember, 2, 1. And then 5, 1.5. So if you can see, it's the same length, but the graph is half as tall. And that's what it means by shrinking. Okay. So I'm going to end there with our video. So we can just kind of exit out that one. So you are going to do a worksheet that looks just like this. I'm going to give you a graph. You need to put the X and the Y in there. And then you are going to explain what's happening. And then you fix the X and the Y to get your